Misa Amane. Misa sits firmly at the bottom of this IQ ranking. Her intelligence is limited not because she's incapable, but because she thinks with her heart instead of her head. She makes decisions based on emotion, loyalty, and impulse, never analysis. She exposes herself repeatedly, underestimates every threat around her, and can't grasp the long-term consequences of her actions. She reveals crucial information without caution, trusts people too quickly, and falls into psychological traps effortlessly. That said, Misa is not dumb. She has strong intuition about people's emotions. She's socially savvy as a celebrity, and she can follow instructions well. But compared to the strategic beasts around her, her IQ is somewhere around 90 to 100, making her the least analytical mind in the series. Aizawa. Aizawa has a solid, dependable intelligence, somewhere around 110 IQ, but it's not strategic. He's logical, good at asking the right questions, and has enough skepticism to avoid manipulation from both Light and L. He's the type of thinker who sees inconsistencies but doesn't invent complicated solutions. In the task force, he serves as a grounded counterweight to more chaotic characters like Matsuda. He detects patterns that others ignore, stays emotionally stable, and is one of the few who repeatedly suspects Light with reasoned arguments. But he is not a puzzle solver. When the investigation hits a wall, he is rarely the one who breaks the case open. His intelligence is practical, cautious, and methodical, not brilliant. Matsuda. Matsuda is one of the strangest minds to rank. Most of the time, he appears slow, distracted, impulsive, and naive. But then, randomly, he produces insights that even L didn't consider. He makes intuitive leaps that come out of nowhere. His IQ averages around 115, but the range is wild. On a good day, he's clever and unexpectedly perceptive. On a bad day, he's reckless enough to endanger entire operations. Matsuda's emotional intelligence is much higher than his analytical intelligence, which sometimes allows him to read situations others overthink. His final confrontation with Light also proves he has moral clarity and instinct, but in raw logical IQ, he's roughly middle of the pack. Mikami. Teru Mikami is much smarter than he seems at first glance. His IQ sits around 120 to 125, with impressive discipline and memory. He's extremely organized and capable of carrying out Light's ideology with mechanical precision. His biggest strength is his unwavering consistency. He never hesitates, never questions himself, and follows Light's blueprint flawlessly until he doesn't. Mikami's downfall is his complete lack of creativity. He cannot improvise, he cannot adapt, and he cannot examine Light's instructions from an independent perspective. Once something deviates from the plan, Mikami panics. His obedience becomes his fatal flaw, preventing higher-level thinking. Brilliant in structure, weak in freedom. Rem is a calm, observant, and rational thinker with an IQ around 130. Unlike Ryuk, she takes human behavior seriously. She can analyze relationships, intentions, and emotional dynamics with surprising accuracy. Her intelligence comes from her ability to interpret human motivations and predict actions based on personal values rather than logic or rules. She's not a strategist in the chess match sense. She's more of a philosopher who sees the deeper emotional machinery behind decisions. Her understanding of sacrifice, loyalty, desperation, and love allows her to see through both Light's charm and Misa's vulnerability immediately. While she doesn't plan multi-layer traps, she interprets situations with clarity no human could match. Ryuk. Ryuk is significantly smarter than his playful attitude suggests. His IQ sits around 135, and most of it is social and psychological. He understands humans at a depth that allows him to manipulate events subtly without ever getting blamed. He predicts chaos before it happens, positions himself to gain entertainment from every angle, and avoids every risk flawlessly. Ryuk doesn't plan in detail, but he understands patterns, human weaknesses, and long-term outcomes better than almost every human character. He deliberately drops the death note into the human world, knowing that it will unleash psychological warfare. He isn't a strategist in the traditional sense, but he has high-level awareness and foresight. Soichiro Yagami. Light's father is one of the most well-developed, intelligent adults in anime. With an IQ around 140, Soichiro has a deep sense of logic, moral reasoning, pattern recognition, and leadership. He isn't a genius like L or Light, but he is consistently smart and emotionally stable. He makes rational decisions under immense pressure, keeps the task force from falling apart, and rarely lets emotion cloud his judgment. He can follow L's reasoning step by step, contribute meaningful analysis, and detect behavioral inconsistencies in suspects. His intelligence is balanced, logical, controlled, and ethical. If the world were full of Soichiros, the Death Note would have never become a global catastrophe. Watari. Watari is a quiet genius. With an estimated IQ of 150, he builds the infrastructure behind L's investigations, creates Wami's house, the institution that produced Nier and Mello, and manages global operations with military precision. His intelligence is logistical, operational, and strategic in a real-world sense. Every move L makes is supported by Watari's planning, resources, and secrecy. He maintains perfect cover identities, coordinates international criminal investigations, and handles advanced data security long before it was common. Watari isn't flashy, but he is the backbone of the world's greatest detective. Without him, L would not function. Nier operates at an IQ level between 180 and 200. His strength is raw logic, breaking down impossible problems into solvable components. He observes minutiae, builds psychological models, runs mental simulations, and calculates probabilities with machine-like precision. Nier's emotional detachment allows him to analyze situations without distortion. He often appears bored, but that's because he's thinking several layers deeper than everyone else. Nier lacks physical courage and charisma, but in intelligence, he rivals L almost perfectly. His ability to reconstruct Kira's entire strategy from fragmented clues is evidence of Nier's superhuman analytical power. Mello. Mello is harder to quantify because his intelligence is explosive, adaptive, and intuitive. Estimated IQ, around 180, but in unconventional ways. Mello compensates for what he lacks in Nier's cold logic with creativity, improvisation, and boldness. He takes risks that lead to unique insights, infiltrates criminal organizations, manipulates dangerous people, and pivots strategies instantly when plans fall apart. Mello thinks fast, aggressively, and outside the box. He makes mistakes, big ones, but he learns from them instantly and weaponizes chaos in ways no other character can. His intelligence is messy but brilliant. L. With an IQ of 210 plus, L is the pinnacle of deductive reasoning. He processes information with mathematical rigor, notices micro-expressions, identifies statistical anomalies, and constructs logical chains that collapse massive mysteries into manageable deductions. L's mind is a constant engine of probability calculations and hypothesis testing. He doesn't rely on intuition. He relies on patterns, logic, and structured reasoning. L's intellect is so sharp that he identifies Light as Kira almost immediately, then spends the rest of the series proving it with increasingly complex traps. He is one of the greatest fictional detectives ever created. Light Yagami. And at the very top, Light Yagami, IQ estimated between 210 and 230. Light holds the highest combination of intellects: strategic intelligence, academic brilliance, social manipulation, psychological warfare, improvisational thinking, and long-term planning. Light can read people instantly, act convincingly under pressure, memorize complex information at a glance, and build multi-layer plans that unfold over months or years. He predicts behavior, designs identities, controls investigations, and manipulates both geniuses and ordinary people with ease. Light's downfall is not lack of intelligence, it's hubris. But in pure IQ and strategic brilliance, Light stands as the single smartest character in Death Note. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below what I should explain next.